So yesterday I completely underestimated how long it was going to take to get this radiator out. I'm pretty sure everything would have went smoother if I just pulled the fan out first. The issue with that is that I couldn't keep the pulley from spinning even with the belt installed to actually get the shaft of the fan clutch in the fan to get that to spin off. I've heard of people using like a chipping hammer and just hitting one side of it and that spins it off pretty easily, but I want to reuse this. I don't want it all dinged up and everything, so what I ended up deciding to do is I went down to Harbor Freight and got these chain wrenches. Turned out one wasn't quite long enough, so today I had to go back and get a second one. So I'm going to try to use them both together to hold the pulley in place while I try to spin off the shaft. So we'll see how that goes. Well, I was successful in extending it, so let's give it a shot. Nope, it's slipping on the pulley. I'm going to have to tighten it. Alright.
That went.
That worked.
Yeah, and then he just spins the fan.
Well, success. What a
Oh,
bugger.
fucker was on there. You unplugged that thing already?
Yeah. So that if I was able to do this to begin with, I would have been able to get that radiator out a lot easier.
Yeah, that's one of the first things he does is get that motherfucker out the way.
But this is that. So is this an electronic clutch?
I forgot what you told me it was for.
I bet that's what it is.
Yeah,
It's probably magnetic.
They got fucking tractor motor.
I'm curious now if this other cover, if there's any oil behind that, or if it's just leaking down from everything that's been slung on it. It's really dirty, it's hard to say. We'll pull off the crank pulley. I've already pulled off some of the other pulleys that needed to come off. And I believe once we have that off and we pull this idler pulley off right here, or the fan, not the pulley but the bracket for the fan, I believe we can pull all of these bolts off and pull off the timing cover. Once we do that, should be pretty straightforward. Clean it up a little bit more if need be, clean all the gasket material off, change the front main seal and the cover, clean up the I don't know if that it interfaces with the oil pan or not, but if it does, we'll have to clean that up. If it doesn't, that's even better. Easier to make this all work. But, let's get started. That was a 13 millimeter to pull that idler pulley off. I had to pull that off to access this hidden bolt. Nothing's ever straightforward. Alright, we got our bolts out, so we're ready to pull the crank pulley off. I think you just yank on it and it should come right off. Alright, very good. You can see there's just one little dowel pin that holds it in the correct location, so piece of cake. And the reason for that needing to be in the correct location, as you can see, that we got some teeth missing right here. So this sensor right here, it has to do with the timing and what have you. It's the crank sensor, crank position sensor. So that's why the timing is important on this. Can't believe it. There's actually one bolt right here behind the power steering pulley. From what I can see, some of these bolts appear to also hold on this aluminum plate or spacer, and I'm really hoping that there are some additional bolts that are underneath the cover itself that continue to hold this on once I remove all of these. If there's not, then I might be biting off more trouble than it's worth, but well, from what I can see, that gasket looks pretty good. But there was no way I was going to do this twice, so I felt it was necessary to go ahead and take this step rather than just pulling the front main seal and doing the front main seal. As much oil was on the front of this engine, I had no idea where it was coming from. But we'll go ahead and put a new gasket on here and more RTV or sealant and put all this back together with the new front main seal in place. Alright, so some of you probably that know about these 6.7 liter engines probably cringed when y'all saw me take that timing cover off. Reason for that is I didn't realize that the spacer plate here is only held on by the bolts that hold the timing cover on all around the spacer plate. That being said, I think I've compromised the seal in the back here, and I'm just not up to the task right now. I don't have the time to worry about getting these gears in the correct timing sequence and everything else, get the engine in time basically, so that I can remove these gears and replace the seal behind here, or the gasket behind here. So that being said, I'm going to have to half-ass this job, unfortunately, and it's not something I like to do, but I've got to realize my limitations here. I'm going to clean this surface here up and reseal that and only replace the front main seal, which seals on the crankshaft. It's not my preferred way of doing this, but I basically have to get this job done today so I can use the truck during the week going back and forth to work. So that's the risk I'm just going to have to take, with the hope of this other seal remaining intact despite the fact that I've removed the clamp load by removing all those bolts. Don't really see what alternative I have at the moment, so we'll go ahead and get those surfaces cleaned up and put the new front main seal in the cover and get it all back together. Alright, that was a tough lesson.
Right now, on the highway, just passed me a beautiful Cummins.
Yeah?
Identical to this, except for he had those steps. But I would swear, probably the only thing he had different from you to him is he had 35 on it. And it looked really nice.
Yeah, I'll have to get me some.
I know damn well 35s will fit right on here.
Oh,
I just know it. Especially with the leveling kit. That'd fit right on here with nothing.
Alright, that's pretty good. Alright, so basically just get it to where it's just past the edge there. That's as far as we need to take it. Go ahead and put sealant all across this surface here, and then we'll install it on the engine. Looks like a mosquito got you on your arm.
Yeah.
Big old whelp. Okay, go ahead and pull the rubber or the plastic retainer for the seal out. There we go. So just like that, should be in good shape. So we know it goes in there pretty easily. So now we need to get the fan in as well. And that might be the difficult part, I don't know. Get this plug connected. Okay, that's on. Let's get this further down. Get this hose out of the way. Now I happen to know that there are two clips on the bottom of this that have to fall into place. I think from here I can go ahead and get this shaft started. Can you shine the light on the shaft for me? Let's get this down a little bit further. There we go. Now we're talking. Just spin this fan right on. Alright, and we gotta remember to tighten that. And I think I'll do that before I button this shroud down. Otherwise it might get pretty difficult. So we'll go ahead and get underneath the truck and install the transmission cooler. That should be wrapping it up. From there we'll get the antifreeze in, the new engine oil. We also need to put the filter on, so we'll get to it. Alright, so that was definitely a lot tougher job than I expected. Lessons learned. Do not take shortcuts. Make sure you pull the fan out first. If you do that, I think the radiator is a lot easier to get out. You don't struggle as much as I did. When I reinstalled the radiator, it went in pretty smooth. I think it probably took maybe an hour to get the whole thing back together. Whereas pulling it apart without getting that fan off, it probably took close to 3 hours to get that off. Other lessons learned is I couldn't get the fan off without using the air chisel. Well, I don't have an air chisel, but the hammer drill. I used the hammer function on the hammer drill and was able to spin it off. I would have never thought of that, just because I hate to put dings in a shaft, but I tried everything and I couldn't get that shaft off. So hopefully that helps someone else that's having the same issue out, and definitely a lot of things to consider on this one. Did check, drove the truck around the block, check for any leaks. I don't see any leaks yet. It's still early. Drive the truck to work tomorrow, and we'll see if during that time a leak develops, but right now it's looking pretty good.